There are six reasons why you should pause this video right now, leave your house and get yourself to your audiologist to buy the new Rogeron version 3. However, there's one pretty huge reason that you may not want to. If you're watching this video today and you have some form of hearing loss, then it's probable that you have similar needs to everybody else within my YouTube community that completed this recent poll. And they pinpointed hearing speech clarity and hearing in background noise as the most important hearing aid features that they could have access to. So is that true for you as well? Let me know in the comments whilst you're watching this video, which of the two is most important for you. Speech clarity or speech understanding in noise, or maybe for you, it's both. Now, the reason I ask this question is that the Rogeron version 3 is designed for those of you that struggle with both speech understanding in noise and speech clarity. Now, you may be thinking, well, if the new fully loaded Phonak Sphere Infinio artificial intelligence hearing aids are so good, why on earth would I still need an accessory? And it's a fair question to ask, so let's run through exactly why the Rogeron version 3 is so special. In my opinion, out of all of the accessories available today from all hearing aid manufacturers, the Rogeron version 3 is the most versatile out there. Why? Well, it's actually 6 different accessories rolled into one. And here it is. It measures 99.7 millimeters long, 23.5 millimeters wide, 13.6 millimeters deep, and weighs in at only 27 grams or 0.95 ounces, making it compact enough to hold comfortably in one hand, place on the table, or clip onto your clothes. It's available in 2 colors, both champagne and graphite gray, and this one is the champagne model. I love the design of these things, and when I think about it, it's because it looks nothing like you would expect from a hearing aid manufacturer, which surely should mean that people will be more comfortable using it in public. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. The first thing you'll notice here is the LCD display, which for the first time features scratch-resistant properties, utilizing Phonak's top core resist diamond coating. Sounds fancy. This ensures the screen remains clear and scratch-free even with regular use. I'm glad that Phonak have listened to your feedback and upgraded this in the newest model so that you can keep it in your bag or pocket without needing to worry about scratching the screen. When active, the screen will display the current microphone mode, other operational information using clear and easy to understand icons, such as the battery and connection status at a simple glance. It also has an IP54 rating, meaning that it's protected against dust and splashes of water. This level of durability will allow you to take the device outdoors or into other environments where moisture and dust are present, such as when you're involved in any outdoor activities or fitness classes. Across the top here, you'll notice 4 microphones, of which their configuration automatically changes depending on the mode it jumps into. And I'll explain what those different modes mean shortly. This here is the function button, which controls various features, including mode switching and the initial setup. I do like that it's slightly recessed, ensuring that it's easy to locate and press without the risk of accidental activation. Moving on to the side here, we have the easy to use on and off slider, which provides a simple and obvious way to power the device on and off, showing a green indicator to easily confirm when it's active. Then on the back of the device, there's a sturdy clip allowing you to attach the Rogeron to your clothing securely, which feels well made so that you can be sure that it won't break when being worn during exercise. Moving on to the bottom here, you'll see that it's equipped with the USB-C port for charging, supporting fast charging capabilities. Phonak state that it takes approximately 3 hours to reach a full charge, which will last you for a full use of 8 continuous hours. And a quick 1-hour charge will give you up to 80% battery capacity. So that's the physical side of things covered. Let's run through the 6 Rogeron version 3 features and where my patients tend to find this device the most useful. Now, it's worth noting that most of these modes are automatic, and the Rogeron will switch modes without you needing to press any buttons whatsoever. It's not so well known that there's also an app available for your smartphone, which gives you even more control, and I'll come on to that a little bit later on. Now, in my opinion, the table mode is one of the most standout features of the Rogeron device, which will help you to effectively tackle the challenge of hearing in noise or hearing speech in background noise, let's say, when you're in a busy restaurant. And as you all well know, with so much background noise and nearby conversations, traditional hearing aids often struggle to prioritize the sound that you want to hear when you're in those more complicated listening environments. So I would recommend, when you're in this kind of scenario, taking the Roger On and placing it next to the person that is furthest away from you. This way, their voice only needs to travel to the microphone on the Roger On, which is then processed and transmits the sound directly to both of your hearing aids. Using Phonak's multi-beam 2.0 technology, it then scans the environment 100 times per second, comparing the speech signals from different directions, and then automatically selects the direction with the highest signal-to-noise ratio, ensuring that the clearest speech signal reaches your hearing aids, offering what Phonak call a three-dimensional listening experience. But oh no, that's not everything. On top of that, the Roger On delivers the sound in the same direction pattern as it arrives to the microphone, giving you a surround sound experience. This means that not only will you hear someone speaking, but you'll also gain a sense of where their voice is coming from in relation to the microphone's position on the table, with Phonak's research demonstrating that the use of this kit, as well as your hearing aids, will give you a 61% improvement in speech understanding in noisy environments, compared to just wearing your hearing aids alone. Finally, it's also worth noting that whilst this is specifically designed for background noise in this mode, it also makes a huge difference when you're at a distance too. So if you need the same kind of help in a board meeting, for example, where everybody's spread out around you, this is the accessory for you. The second feature worth shouting about is the Roger On version 3's pointing mode 2.0. And why this is important is that whilst placing the Roger On a table is ideal in certain circumstances, of course, there are other situations where you may be surrounded by noise, but there's a lack of a surface to be able to place it on. And an example that I always give to my patients in clinic is if you're at a cocktail party or the interval when you're at the theatre. What this feature does is it allows you to hold the device in your hand and simply aim it at the person that's speaking. It then automatically switches into pointing mode 2.0 and uses the 3 aligned microphones to zoom in on the speaker directly ahead with a narrow beam, filtering out all of that noise that's going on around them. And I have to say, it isn't the most discreet of ways to use the device, but it actually works. Stereo wide pointing mode is a brand new feature built into the Roger On version 3, which builds upon that pointing mode 2.0. And it works by providing a wider beamform than the pointing mode that I was just talking about, which is ideal for when you're in scenarios with multiple speakers or where a broader audio coverage is needed. Now, some practical examples of this are when you're, say, at a panel discussion and you want to hear multiple people speaking at the same time, or if you're at a workshop where the speakers are spaced out, as this mode should provide more audio coverage, capturing voices over a broader area than that previous pointing mode 2.0, which is very directional. Now, it's also worth noting that this new app is only accessible through the My Roger Mic app, which I'll cover later on in this video, and I've been racking my brain to think of why they've gone and done this. And I've come up with 2 theories on why they've not made it accessible via the actual Roger itself. Firstly, I think that they've done this to maintain consistency for those of you out there that have already been using the Roger On in its previous form, so the Roger On version 1 or Roger On version 2, as it currently works fully automatically without you needing to change any settings whatsoever. And I think that it's a good call that Phonak have wanted to keep it that way. Second of all, the only other thing that I can think about is, from my experience, any manual switching between modes typically appeals for the more experienced users of this device. And whilst most of my patients rely on the Roger On's automatic settings, which are guided by this built-in accelerometer, some advanced users prefer the manual control to tailor their experience to their specific scenarios. But for the majority of you out there, I don't think that you'll be using this new feature, so you won't need to access that. The fourth reason that I am a big fan of this tech is its presenter mode. And I think that this is one of the most used features by my patients. Within this mode, the Roger On automatically detects whether it's hanging around your neck with a lanyard or clipped onto your clothing like I've done here. And it will automatically adjust its settings accordingly. In one-to-one situations, when the device is worn around someone's neck, like so, it transmits their voice directly to both of your hearing aids. And the effectiveness of how this mode works depends on how close the microphone is to the speaker's mouth. So, for example, if the distance is around this, so 6 inches from the speaker, it's as though they're speaking directly to you in your ears, both ears, in fact, about 6 inches away. Now, the other thing that I haven't mentioned is that the transmission range on this thing is a whopping 25 meters. So the possibilities of using this really are endless. Some of my patients give it to their lecturer, others give it to their tennis opponents, and then there are some that hand it to their instructor during yoga or Pilates sessions when lip reading may not be possible. I even have some parents place it in their baby's stroller to hear them more easily whilst they're pushing them along. Out of curiosity, if you do already have this technology, where do you use it and where do you find it useful? And if you want this technology but don't have it, where do you think you would find it the most useful? Let me know in the comments beneath this video. The fifth feature, which was newly added in the Rogeron version 2, is the headset mode. Now, when connected to a computer via USB, Rogeron acts as a two-way headset for online calls, streaming the audio directly to your hearing aids whilst using the microphone to transmit your voice. So it's perfect for online meetings on platforms such as Skype, FaceTime, Teams, or Zoom. If you're wondering why you wouldn't just bother connecting your hearing aids directly to the computer, that's a great question to ask. And personally, when I think about it, there are 3 advantages of using the Rogeron version 3 instead of just using that direct Bluetooth connectivity. So reason number 1 is that it's more convenient if you hot desk or use public computers, as this plug and play functionality means that you don't need to go through the Bluetooth pairing process every time. Reason number 2, sorry Phonak, but I think it's definitely more stable as a connection, as when it's hardwired like this, it avoids the common pitfalls of connectivity issues that may come with Bluetooth connectivity, and you don't want it dropping out in the middle of one of your Teams calls. And then finally, reason number 3 is that it offers improved audio quality in an open plan office scenario, as if you were to just use your hearing aids alone, those hearing aid microphones on the top of your hearing aids can pick up a lot of background noise, making it harder for the person on the other end of the call to be able to hear you clearly. The microphone array on this device helps to isolate your voice, reducing ambient noise and providing the other person with a far clearer signal. The 6th and final feature is media mode, which allows the Rogeron version 3 to connect to various multimedia devices using either the Toslink connection or the 3.5mm jack via its docking station, which technically makes it compatible with both smartphones, TVs, stereos, and computers, with the sound streaming directly to both of your hearing aids without affecting the audio for anybody else using it. I have to say that most of my patients use this setup with their TV, which incidentally eliminates the need to buy a separate streaming device to watch the television. And it's also worth noting that whilst it's plugged in, it's also simultaneously charging. I love it. If you would class yourself as an advanced user of the Rogeron version 3 and you want to make manual adjustments to the settings outside of the automatic settings, this can all be done via the My Roger Mic app. And there are 5 additional features which I consider to be great that you'll be able to access by downloading this free app from Phonak. So first of all, you can manually select which mode you'd like the Rogeron to be on, overriding all of the automatic settings and manually selecting either the table mode, pointing mode, stereo mode, or wide pointing mode. Next, the app also allows you to steer the direction of the microphone's beam towards specific speakers, which is great, and it's particularly helpful if you're in table mode and there's someone that you don't want to hear. You can mute the microphones on that side of the table. Down here, you can also easily mute and unmute the Rogeron version 3 using the app, which you can't do in any other way. So if your lecturer decides to go to the bathroom halfway through a lecture, it could be pretty embarrassing for everybody unless you mute the streaming. The battery status is nicely displayed here. So again, if you've given the device to somebody else in presenter mode, then you won't be able to see the battery level without looking at the device itself. Using this app, you can remotely keep your eye on it. As I mentioned earlier, access to the stereo wide pointing mode is managed exclusively through the app. So without it, you're missing out on a pretty neat new feature introduced into this Rogeron version 3. Now, that pretty much covers all of the positives. And at the start of this video, I promised you one huge reason that you may not want to buy it. And this is because of the new Phonak Sphere Infinio and how well this thing copes in background noise. So check out this review to see if they're what you need.